All right, like I was saying earlier, Chief Mark McMurray with the Huntsville Police Department is going to give us an update. Then we're going to have Tony speak for a minute. Lieutenant McLaver will speak, and actually...
not Tony, Chief Deputy Stacey Bates.
Chief Deputy Stacey Bates with the Sheriff's Office is going to speak as well.
First of all, let me say thank you for coming out and taking such a great interest in what's transpired here. Huntsville Police Department has suffered a tremendous loss with the police officer. It's the last thing any of us want to deal with. It's the last thing any of us want to confront, but it's happened. And it's happening too often. It's happening this way, not just in Huntsville, but it's happening just way too much. I'm not prepared at this time to tell you the release of the officer's name. I need to withhold that, but out of respect for the family and the ongoing investigation, we're going to withhold that. But I tell you, I'm going to be prepared at noon tomorrow to hold a press conference at 815 Wheeler Avenue. And at that time, I would like to give you more details as far as the family, the involved officer we lost tonight, the suspect, which was captured, by the way, by the assisting officers. I am prepared to give you a brief synopsis of what happened. It was the Huntsville Gulf Coast HIDA Task Force that was in an operation this evening around 4 p.m. Through an investigation including confidential informants and buys, we had information of a large amount of drugs that would be dropped off at a location. We were set up at that location. Unfortunately, when the suspect showed up, he arrived armed, and the first person he saw when he got to the residence, he drew a gun and immediately fired on the officer. The officer was wearing a bulletproof vest, as we all do on these operations. Unfortunately, the bullet made its way through the very top of the vest and struck the officer in the heart. Officers rushed him immediately to the hospital, and after over 1.5 hours of intensive medical treatment, there was nothing that could be done. I've never seen such medical trauma care in my life, in my 33 years as was given at Huntsville Hospital to this officer. Unfortunately, we could not revive the officer, and time was called. The family is with him now. Our STAC team has suffered a devastating loss, and they'll be going through a period of grieving, as we all will, and we'll get through this just like we always have. This is what we do in law enforcement. At this time, I want to give a special thanks to our fellow law enforcement agencies. The Madison County Sheriff's Department has been a tremendous help to us. Sheriff Turner and his team have already come out, started answering calls with us. Not that we were extremely short-handed, but we were stretched thin all of a sudden with so many officers at the hospital. We have a scene to protect, we have people to investigate, and so they stepped right up. The City of Madison, Chief Jernigan, is answering calls for us out in Limestone County and on the west side of Huntsville. He's stepped up already. Steve Marshall with the State Attorney General's office has called me. They've expressed their prayers during the surgery, and now they've expressed their prayers for the family as they go through this. So if you'll bear with us on all the information till noon tomorrow at 815 Wheeler, we'll have an additional press conference and we'll bring you up all the details, and we'll take a lot of questions at that time. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Deputy Stacey Bates with the Madison County Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, Chief. On behalf of Sheriff Kevin Turner, I just want to make sure that everybody knows our hearts and our prayers are with the Huntsville Police Department, with the STAC team, and with the officer's family in particular. Unfortunately, for many of us standing here, this is not the first time we've had to experience something like this. So our primary goal at the Sheriff's Office was to offer any support and help we could. As you all know, like every day, there's still lives going on, there's cars going up and down this road, there's still calls coming in that have to be answered. And as first responders, We have to do that job 24/7 regardless of what's going on. So right now at the Sheriff's Office, our primary goal is assisting the Huntsville Police Department. We've got every person that we have that's a sworn personnel that's almost 150 people strong out answering their calls. Like Chief McMurray said, not necessarily that we're behind on calls, but from a Sheriff's Office standpoint, we want to make sure that their officers have time to go and be with each other and to grieve and do what they need to do and not have to worry about what's going on out here. Let us handle that. Let us handle the stress and the things that are going on. So again, can't say enough about how Chief McMurray has handled this situation, how his staff has come together. It's a horrible time. It's going to be a lot of trying days ahead. It's going to be hard for all of us, but we are a family. To speak on the STAC team in particular, when we talk about a family in law enforcement, the STAC team is a prime example of that, because it's a unit that's not just made up of Huntsville police officers. It's made up of Huntsville police officers, Madison County Sheriff's deputies, Madison police officers. Neighboring counties in Madison and Morgan and Decatur have members in that unit. So it's kind of the ultimate representation of what a family-type law enforcement unit is. These guys spend a lot of time together every day out here doing a very dangerous job. They're to be commended for the action they took tonight when this whole thing happened. They all did their job and did it well. Again, can't say enough and can't specify enough how sorry we are at the Sheriff's Office and want the Chief to know just how much we are here for them. Just a little bit on the role of that STAC unit. With it being a multi-agency unit, they run 24/7. I mean, there's no investigation too small that they don't handle. There's none too big that they can't handle. These guys spend a lot of time together. They run cases that may start in Huntsville and end up in Limestone County. They follow them from beginning to end, and they do it together. It's joint operations all the time. So again, this is just one of those prime examples of where we as neighboring agencies all work together and all have a stake in what's going on. And at the end of the day, these officers were out protecting and serving their community. They were doing something to get dangerous drugs and dangerous criminals out of this community for the citizens of Huntsville and Madison County and all of North Alabama. So we just ask that everyone remember the Huntsville Police Department, remember the officers' family, and just, like I say, just give them time to grieve, give them some time of peace. Chief, again, sorry for your loss, and you know that we're here for you, anything we can do.